Hello and welcome to the Team Talk here on Hibs TV. We're still looking for our first league win of the season, but performances have been improving and hopefully we'll be able to collect those 3 points today as we take on St Johnstone. And I'm delighted to say, to help me preview today's game, I'm joined by former Hibs man Marvin Bartley. Marvin, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yep, all good. Good to be back.
Excellent. I saw you earlier having a bit of rapport with David Gray and Eddie May. Great to see those guys, obviously.
No, exactly that. You know, I speak to them quite a lot on the phone, especially Eddie last season. He was kind of a guy that was there for me to speak to. So, yeah, fantastic to see them. Obviously, hoping all the best for them today and the season going forward. But no, it's always nice to be back, what feels like home, and, you know, seeing some familiar faces in those two.
Yeah, it's really interesting, actually, what you just said about Eddie, obviously being someone that you could speak to. Obviously, David Gray brought him in as his assistant, or one of his 3 assistant managers. How important is that balance, do you think, for Dave, to have someone of Eddie's experience and calmness?
Yeah, I think that's definitely needed. You know, Dave, obviously in his first management job, at times he'd be extremely frustrated and he'd probably want to go into the dressing room and say certain things. And Eddie's been there and done it before. He's seen it all. So at times he'll calm Dave down. At times he'll let him off the leash and say, no, it's the right thing to do. So having someone like Ed, he loves the club. You know, he's been around it for a long, long time in various different roles. And now stepping back into kind of first team assistant management, I think it was a masterstroke from Dave. And I think that Eddie will be very, very important for Dave, you know, not only this season, but the seasons going forward.
How pleased were you to see Dave get a shot here as head coach?
Delighted. Honestly, I was delighted for him. Obviously, he was a captain for me when I played at this football club, and I always knew he was going to go on and be a manager. He's obviously done his apprenticeship as a coach under 3 or 4 managers. You know, the conveyor belt was well and truly going, wasn't it? And now he's got his own opportunity to do it. This is what he wants. You know, it's a perfect club for him to do it at. Obviously, he's a legend in his own right in terms of a player, and he now knows as a manager he's going to be judged, you know, in that right now. So he's looking forward to it. As I said, you know, only 4 games into the season. There has to be a little bit of patience with him as well, because it is his first job. I've been there. I've done it. Obviously at a lot lower scale, a smaller scale than what he's doing it at, so there's massive pressure on him, but he'll thrive underneath that. I have no doubt about it.
What was it about him as a player where you thought, he'll definitely go into management?
Just the way he understood the game, and you know, the way he could explain the game as well. I think that's the important thing. You know, it's one thing understanding the game, but you have to articulate it in a way that other people can understand it as well. And Dave used to do that as a captain. You know, in our post-match and our pre-match stuff, he used to get up, he used to talk. You know, he used to speak to us about defensive positioning, etc., etc. Obviously, coming through at Man United, he worked with one of the best managers, if not the best manager, to be involved in the game. So I always knew he was going to go on and be a manager. You know, as I said, he's done his apprenticeship as a coach now, and it's now his time. And as I said, he'll be successful.
Yeah, I said it in the opening titles. Performances have been getting better and better. We've been close to that first win of the season. Unfortunate not to get it here against Dundee and then against Kilmarnock as well before the international break. From Dave's perspective, obviously he'll be wanting to get that first win, of course, but the gradual improvement in performances would be something that he's impressed with.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're not going to win games of football, then the performances have to get better. You know, there's a way of losing games or a way of drawing games. And again, like you said, against Kilmarnock, extremely unlucky to give a penalty away so late in the game. But the players are out there, they're working hard for him. You know, a beater's mistake is just that. You know, he's trying to get back goal side, and unfortunately, Bruce Anderson goes across the face of him and the penalty's given away. But Dave will know that when you put that performance together and you get the 3 points, there'll be nothing better for the players, and then they'll be going in the right direction. As I said, you know, if you're not performing and you're drawing games and losing games, you're unsure when that win's going to come. But, you know, they'll be confident down there in the management room. Come 3 o'clock when the players step across that white line, they'll be able to go out and do the job.
Yeah, you mentioned individual mistakes. That's probably been the biggest frustration, I would say, for David Gray this season, because that's where the majority of goals have come from. He always says to me that a goal that you concede comes from 1, 2, 3, 4 mistakes. And it's funny when he kind of looks back at a clip, he's like, there's the first one, there's the second one, there's the third one. How do you cut those out? And when you're on the pitch, is that something, when you've been making a couple of mistakes, is kind of in the back of your head?
It's definitely in the back of your mind, you know, as you go out there as a player. And the longer the game goes on and the mistake hasn't been made, you're thinking, I don't want to be the player to make that mistake. And then before you know it, you know, unfortunately, you're on the receiving end of it. And as you said, you know, a couple of goals in the St Mirren game, the Kilmarnock penalty that was given away, they're individual mistakes. You know, Celtic as well, an individual mistake. And these players are learning on the job as well. You know, it's a new back 4 that have been put together for the first time this season. You've got 2 boys who came up the road from England as well, so they're adjusting to life here. here. And it is difficult. I know as fans sometimes we think, right, adjust straight away. It doesn't happen. You know, when I came here, there was an element of time that I needed to adjust to it as well. And luckily enough, I was in a team that was doing well at the time. So, you know, your mistakes are probably saved by your teammates. At this moment in time, we're getting punished for every single mistake we make. And that's football. And you hope over the course of a season it balances itself out. But yeah, as a player, you know, you watch post-match, you understand the mistake. And it's not just about the individual who made the mistake. It's like, can I affect it as another player? Can I help my teammate out? And that's the way I used to look at it. You know, if Paul Hannon or Darren McGregor or Fonts used to make a mistake at the back, I just think, can I recover for them? You know, can I get back in? Can I make a difference? And that's what you have to do. You have to be in it together. It's never about one individual. You win as a team, you lose as a team, and you learn as a team. And that's what Dave will be saying to the players now.
Yeah, that's exactly what David Gray was saying to the players after that draw against Kilmarnock too. Let's just have a quick look back at that one. And Darber on the ball now. Back to Kennedy. Kennedy down this left-hand side, plays the ball into the middle of the park to Polworth. He looked to play the ball into Watson, but he was shut down now nicely by Joe Newell, who gives the ball to Mikola Kukarevic, who goes long and tries to catch the keeper off the line and forces O'Hara into a great save. Joe Newell then goes back to Martin Boyle, into Joe Newell, who crosses deep, and it's in! Joe Newell has scored, and Hibs lead here at Rugby Park. His cross-come shot catches Kieran O'Hara and goes into the back of the net. Fantastic, fantastic set-piece move there from Hibs. Mikola's still not on the pitch though. There we go. Mikola's back on as Hibs have the ball with Triantis in the middle of midfield. Triantis had the option there of going to Kwon, but does excellently to go past 2 and 3 and into the area. This could be oh my goodness, that was almost an unbelievable goal from Nectar Triantis. Went past 1, 2, 3 before striking the crossbar. Again, does well to clear any danger. And a half chance potentially arising here with Vassell in the middle of the pitch. Vassell holds off Lewis Miller and hits the post. A huge layoff again there for Hibs. A chance really for all that came out of nothing.
Yeah, again, it's a couple of...
Hibs staying strong in their shape as Polworth looks to play through the middle. It's a great ball through to Anderson. Anderson's in the area, he goes down, and it's a penalty to Kilmarnock from a foul from Jordan Abita. Anderson then from the spot kick, and he scores. It's 1-1. Kilmarnock equalise here at Rugby Park. We're just going to go to a short break now, but make sure you stay with us because Marv's going to help us preview today's opposition, St Johnstone, and we're also going to hear from Dwight Gayle, who'll be hoping to add an extra bit of firepower to this Hibs side.
I'm getting some work done. Enough of that. I am totally winning! Oh, and relaxing.
Here's your water.
With a coffee, thank you. I love this film. I'm doing all of this on my way to Mum's. Because it's all possible on an LNER train.
Next stop, London.
And I'm almost there.
Welcome back to Hibs TV as we continue to build up to today's game against St Johnstone. Marv, obviously the Saints have had a fairly mixed start to the season as well. They're missing a couple of key players as well. Hibee's obviously unavailable because of his red card. What part do you think that might play this afternoon?
A massive part. I've actually watched St Johnstone a couple of times this season. I watched them against Rangers in the Cup, and Kipyoko and Hibee are a handful up front. So he'll be a massive miss, a player that's willing to go in behind. He's obviously got suitors from further afield as well. We had a couple of bids were rejected for him. So from our point of view, I'm delighted that he's missing this game of football. Kipyoko, they have to be careful of though. Very good feet. He's aggressive. Who works extremely hard from the first minute to the last minute. And I think Nicky Clark will partner him up there. So communication is going to be important because Nicky Clark will drop into the number 10 position. So it's important that our centre halves and our midfielders are in constant communication to make sure we're not dragged all over the place. So make a big difference to them, but listen, it's all about us. These games, when you play for Hibs Football Club, you have to go out and win them. It doesn't matter about St Johnstone. That's not being disrespectful either. We are the team that should be going out and taking the game to them. They should be worrying about us rather than the other way around. And
we all know as well that St Johnstone's manager, obviously Craig Levein, will be coming here and probably wanting to win more than any other manager will want to win here all season.
Exactly. Listen, Craig managed Hearts when I was playing for Hibs, and I've seen him a few times, since going into the media side of things. So he'll be coming here 100%. If he could win, a game of football this season, it would be here. Definitely want to do that. But as I said, we have to worry about ourselves, and he'll be worried about Hibs as well. Who know that they're looking for the first win of this season. He won't want us to come against his team, but he knows if Hibs turn up, then there's not a lot that really St Johnstone can do about it.
What do you expect from them? Do you expect them to kind of sit deep, try and play on the counter, soak up pressure and hope that there's a mistake or a long ball kind of that isn't dealt with at the back?
Yeah, they're very workmanlike in terms of that, and whether they play a back three, it will drop into a back five out of possession. Sometimes Nicky Clark, if he does start, will drop in, so it'll be a 5-4-1. And as you said that, they go from back to front quite quickly, and they'll try and hit the channels and use Kipyoko's pace to get down the side, and then the rest of the team will try and move up. So the important thing for us is when we are attacking, the defenders don't switch off. We kind of saw that against Celtic here, didn't we, when Kyogo managed to get in behind because we switched off because we're attacking and we're just watching the game. So that's so important. You talked about earlier about learning from your mistakes and post-match stuff and the analyst side of it. So that will be something that the players will be wary of, and we need to make sure it doesn't happen today, because there's nothing worse than dominating possession, which St Johnstone will be happy for us to have, and then get hit on the counter-attack and all of a sudden you're behind in the game.
Yeah, one man that will be watching today's game with an eager eye is Dwight Gayle. He joined us earlier this week. He won't be involved this afternoon, but we caught up with Hibs TV ahead of this one to discuss signing for the Hibees.
Dwight, welcome to Hibernian FC. How does it feel to have signed for Hibs?
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity for me. I'm really excited to be here. Having arrived at the training grounds and obviously the facilities and stuff and the people here, I'm glad to be here.
So how did the move come about then?
Sort of come to me with my agent first of all, and then I spoke to Malky. The club was obviously interested, and at the time when I found out, I was just really buzzing to get it ahead really. It took a bit longer than expected, but like I said before, I'm grateful to be here.
So what did Malky say to you during those conversations before you came up?
Just that obviously they was looking for someone of my type of player that could improve the team and to help out, and just obviously how big of a club it was, and that was something that interested me, a new experience for myself, obviously playing in Scotland. So yeah, it just was ticking all the boxes, and he didn't have to say too much.
And you obviously know our captain, John Newell, from your time together at Peterborough. Did you catch up with him?
Yeah, he was probably the person I spoke to most. We'd speak most days about it, to be honest, and I think he was helping with pushing it with the gaffer at the time. So he had a lot of good things to say, and he was a big reason for it happening.
Marv, we heard from Dwight just then. Obviously, he's delighted to get the move and come up to Hibs, but he's someone that you know fairly well, I should say. Probably gave you some nightmares back in the day.
Yeah, he used to run off the back of me an awful lot back down in England. But no, listen, he's a player who came through the non-league route and then obviously went on to have the career that he has had to date. Extremely sharp in and around the box, willing to run in behind. And, they always say the first couple of yards is in your head. At 34 years of age, I think he is now. He's vastly experienced. He's played against some top defenders, and as I said, if he can kind of replicate that sort of form and ability, then it'll be a massive plus for Hibs to have.
The biggest difference, I suppose, in terms of strikers to him is the fact that he's more of a fox in the box. Like David Gray described him as a penalty box striker.
Yeah.
Probably different in that regard to Mikola Kukarevic or Kieran Bowie.
Yeah, exactly that. And you need centre forwards, who can complement each other. For me, he's probably more a striker that want to play in the two. Than be up there by himself, dealing with kind of the longer balls coming into him. But as you said there, and Dave's described him, in the box, he's absolutely lethal, and he finds space, and it's a knack. Sometimes people think, why is the defender's not marking him? His movement's brilliant, really, really is good. And there's the reason that he scored the amount of goals he has in his career in the top flight in England. And as I said, it's about him coming in here and helping younger players as well. Being 34, but also contributing on the pitch. He has more than enough ability to do that. And when he's up to speed, I think Hibs have got a real player on their hands.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously he's not involved this afternoon, but I suppose to a certain extent, being able to sit, watch, learn from his teammates, where they like to cross the ball, for example, where different positions that they like to be in, will actually have a lot of benefit to him, rather than, I guess, being sat on the bench and not having a kind of bird's eye view on it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to rush players either. The last thing you want to do is bring in a new sign in and think, right, I'm going to put him on the bench and I won't use him. And then 20 minutes to go, you're either chasing the game or whatever else you put him on, and he's not quite up to speed. You only get one debut. So as you said, sitting in the stand and watching it, he'll be able to study an awful lot that goes on, and also be able to help the players. Come training on Monday, you might say you need to play that ball a little bit earlier, or you need to put that sort of cross in. So as I said, that's when the experience side comes into it. And when he's out there, he's a very, very quiet man off the pitch, but he'll be demanding out there. He's a goal scorer. He's ruthless, a ruthless goal scorer at that. And as I said, he still does have that ability to do it. There's no doubt about it. He just needs to find his feet here. And as I said, once he gets in the team, I think he'll stay in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, David Gray's had a few decisions to make in terms of his team selection ahead of today's game. I caught up with him ahead of this one. Dave, firstly, let's speak about some difficult news. Kieran Bowie's obviously had his scan and it's not good, is it?
No, it's hugely frustrating for everyone, but more so him. Thoughts about him at the moment. He's really disappointed, obviously. Really negative news on the result of that. He's going to be out for a few months, which is really tough to take, considering the positive start he's had. How hard he's had to work to get back on the grass from his previous injury. And I think even the way we managed him in the start of the season, the temptation was always there to use him, but because of how positive a start he's made. But we were always wary of the fact that he was coming back from an injury, so we had to be sensible with that. But I think it makes it even more frustrating now.
On the positive side, though, obviously Dwight Gayle has come into the club. Just give us an insight into him as a player and how happy you are that he's here.
Delighted to bring someone in that calibre and experience that comes with that. It's someone we've been in talks with for a while, trying to get this one done. Delighted to get it over the line. Gives us, again, more options up front, real strength and depth, and what he gives us, someone that's played at the highest level, scored goals at the highest level, and is different to what we've already got in the building, and added to that the experience he's going to bring for the younger players as well. So delighted to get that one over the line.
Obviously he signed yesterday. Do you think it could be too soon tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it probably is. I think he's had a real good pre-season with the PFA in England, so he has kept himself really fit. I've seen that today. He's trained once, but when you then think about his minutes that he's had, the lack of training he's had as a team in the last sort of 10 days or so I think we need to manage that situation a little bit. We have got a little bit of a break after this game to make sure we get him fully fit and firing and get real proper eyes on him, because he's only been in the building for one training session. So I think that's something we need to manage carefully.
Yeah, you've obviously had a lot of players out on international duty, but a bank of players as well here at HTC. I know there was a bounce game as well. Just give us an insight into what the last 2 weeks have been like.
They've been really good, really positive. Obviously the disappointment straight after Kilmarnock result, and purely because of the fact that you lose a goal in the last minute. If that had been the other way around, there's a lot more positive feeling after the game. It almost felt like a defeat to lose the goal right at the very end, which is natural. But when the dust settles and you're looking back at the performance, the progression we are making, now I'm not shying away from the fact we know results need to be better, but we are in a position where there is positives to take. We are moving in the right direction, and I've certainly seen that in the last 2 weeks. Boys have trained really well. There's a buzz around the group. I think the breaks came at a good time from that point of view as well. Boys are getting fitter, stronger, injured players coming back that are adding competition and training as well. So the bounce game went well. Everybody came through that, got much needed minutes into certain individuals, and it was a positive day, positive 2 weeks altogether.
Yeah, St Johnstone then obviously on Saturday. What do you expect from them?
a real tough test as always. You know, they'll come there, make it hard for us. All the expectation will be on us to go and win the game, and rightly so. It is the sole focus has been on us. We've had an opportunity now in the last 2 weeks to really work hard on how we can try and exploit them and try and get the 3 points, and that's what our full focus has been on, and we're looking forward to it now.
Good luck this weekend.
Cheers.
Marv, we heard from David Gray just then. Obviously, he mentioned Kieran Bowie's injuries. He's tried to be really cautious with him at the start of this season, so I suppose that's why it's even more frustrating for him that he's been injured on international duty, but it'll be a big loss, won't he?
Yeah, it's so frustrating, you know, when players do go away on international duty and they do get injured. And as David said, you know, he's trying to introduce him slowly into it. I think he's always made an impact as well when he's came on. He's looked extremely lively. I think a lot of fans have been calling for him to start, and they probably understand why he hasn't started games now, because he wasn't quite up to speed. But obviously Scotland thought, you know, he's in a position where he could play back-to-back games, and unfortunately he's just managed to break down, which happens, by the way. It can happen in training, it can happen in a warm-up, it can happen in a match. It's just unfortunate it has happened. 4 months, I think they're saying, before he comes back. So, you know, for the young man, it's about getting back to fitness as soon as he possibly can. But yeah, it is a big blow, because as I said, he's been a real bright spark so far this season for the football club.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose for him as well, he's kind of had this kind of injury before, so as long as he's mentally kind of switched on, and I suppose the first few days with that kind of injury can be quite difficult, but I imagine he's probably the type of lad that would just power through it. Yeah,
exactly. You know, it's an injury I had when I was younger as well, and it's quite reoccurring. Mine was, unfortunately, you know, over kind of a longer spell than 4 months. And if you don't do the rehab properly, or if you're not lucky in the rehab, then it can come back. But you said the mental side of it is so difficult, because when you come back and it is your hamstring, the first time you sprint, it's like, can I really do this? So you have to believe in your body, you know, do the rehab to the best of his ability. But as you said, he's a young, strong boy. You know, he'll be back in no time. I was a bit older when I got mine, so it took a little bit longer. But no, listen, they've got a great medical staff here. You know, the players will be around him, which is the important thing. The manager will be around him, and as I said, he'll be back on the pitch in no time before he knows it.
Yeah, you were saying earlier on in the show that today is about Hibs. That's what David Gray's main focus will be on. What do you think then that he actually wants to see from his players?
A fast start. An extremely fast start. I think that's the important thing. Can we get a goal ahead early in the game, and then, you know, really go after St Johnstone? You know, he doesn't want to go a goal ahead and then sit back. And the longer they stay in the game, the more belief that they'll get as well. So you need to take that belief away from them straight away. And as I said, by being on the front foot, by playing balls in behind, by having runners in behind, by being aggressive in the press, all of the things that, you know, Dave's spoken about wanting before. He's going to want to see it all today. We've had an international break now. You know, boys have managed to get themselves up to speed with that 2-week break. Obviously playing a couple of bounce games as well behind closed doors. So everyone should be in a good position now. It's about the season starting today. It's about kicking on, and it's about 3 points, however they need to come. You know, we spoke about performances before. The important thing is today that we get 3 points by any means.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned the international break and getting boys up to speed. Obviously, it was a devastating blow with Kieran, but on the flip side, and trying to find the positives here, Junior Hoylett's had an extra kind of 2 weeks and is fit and ready for today's game, and Ellie Yuan is as well. Obviously, two really good talents, and they showed it last season.
Yeah, two massive players. You said they're game winners by themselves, you know, on any given day. So to have them back in the squad, whether they start, whether they come off the bench, can only be a positive for everybody. And as Dave's always spoken about as well, it's about keeping other players on their toes as well. You know, when the squad's coming back and everybody's fully fit, you know you have to perform. If you don't perform, then you'll be off the pitch and potentially won't start the next game. So that's the pressure at this football club you have to thrive under. You know, it's not something you worry about. You perform, you stay in the team. It's as simple as that. But yeah, having those two back will be a massive plus, and I'm sure they'll play a big part in this afternoon's game.
Yeah, one man I wanted to touch on as well was Nectar Triantis, obviously a position that you know very well.
Yeah.
How much have you, or how impressed were you with his performance here against Kilmarnock? Obviously only having 1 day's training. I know he was here before, but still kind of a new back four behind him and a new midfield pair in front of him.
Yeah.
To be able to come in so seamlessly and have such an impact on the squad.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how hard that is to do what he did. You know, it's extremely difficult. Like you said, he's been here before, but it's totally different now. It's a new manager, it's a new style, new players in and around him, and I thought he was fantastic. You know, we saw last season that he played holding midfield a couple of times as well. I know he's played centre half as well, so he's a player that can play in a couple of positions, but I think he's extremely important. I think that the side were crying out for somebody like that, that's going to get the ball back and give it to more ball-playing players, you know, without being disrespectful. He knows his role within the team. And as we said, you know, it's so important that when we are attacking that set up behind the ball, and he'll be a player that'll be key to that. You spoke about Nicky Clark dropping into the 10 position. If he does start, he'll be important to, you know, nullifying him today. So he has his own role in the team. It's about doing his role to the best of his ability and then controlling the players in front of him. But I thought against Kilmarnock he was fantastic. He was definitely a positive from that game.
Where do you think the game today will be won or lost then for Hibs?
I think at either end, I think we have to be ruthless when it comes to defending. I think we have to defend with our lives. I think we have to be switched on. I think when balls are coming into the box, we have to be marking players. We have to be goal side. We have to header things away. We have to block things. We have to take it where it hurts at times, because it's not pretty defending. You know, I've done it for a long time during my career, but you just do it. Get a clean sheet, and at the other end, be ruthless. The attacking players makes you do your job as well. When that all comes together, you know, we'll have a fantastic 90, 94 minutes, whatever it might be. But we can't afford to switch off, as I said, you know, because we have a lot of possession, and it's so easy when you're in possession as a player, behind the ball, thinking, oh, this is beautiful. It's brilliant watching Martin Ball run down the wing, or whoever else doing, Joe Newell driving forward with the ball. But you have to be in a position when that ball does get turned over, can we get it back again, and can we keep the pressure on them?
Yeah, and it's been great to see so many fans as well putting their messages into the club, fans that are watching from Canada, fans that have travelled over 300 miles to come to today's game. I mean, the fans will want that fast start as well, and the support, as you know from when you played here, is magnificent. Isn't it?
Support's fantastic. You know, I always say to the players when they're coming in here, but you have to entertain them. You know, they have a right, they pay their money to be entertained, so you entertain them. My entertaining wasn't with step overs or anything like that. It's smashing into people. Yeah. You know, that was me.
They love that, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. That was me getting people off their seats. So, you know, whatever your job is to do in the team, make sure you do it to the best of your ability. And, you know, as I said, get the fans behind you, because so far this season it hasn't happened as much as we want it to. We understand that, but we move forward from that. We can't change the past, but we can change the future. And it starts with the players doing that today. And I said the fans will be fully behind them once we have that fast start and then 1-0 up.
Yeah, absolutely, and fingers crossed on that, Marv. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to everyone who's been watching at home as well. And make sure you keep sending your messages in, and we'll try and get through as many as we can on future pre-match shows. Yeah, that's all we've got time for, so thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll get 3 points.